Hello and welcome to Law and Order SVU here on FANVERSATION. I am Yael Tygiel. That's Taylor Gates. This is season 26, episode 7, Tenfold.
Yep.
Yes, it is. Let's start with the basics. If you are in a situation and you need help, please reach out to RAINN. Their number is 1-800-656-4673. 1-800-656-4673. Taylor, what does that spell?
It spells hope.
It spells hope. Also, if you're in an emergency, call 911. Also, if you're in an emergency, you're listening to this podcast, stop. This Law and Order SVU does talk about serious issues and serious topics, and we on Law and Order S Review will take those topics and say offensive things about them. So consider this your content warning. I guarantee I say something offensive. I'm pretty sure I have a whole rant that's going to piss somebody off, because that's what I do here, right?
Yep.
Okay. Again, this is season 26, episode 7, Tenfold. Here is the quick cap. Bruno must get to the center of a victim's incomplete story to track down a serial rapist. Carisi is helpless to stop a crime he suspects is about to be committed. That's an incorrect statement, but fine. Taylor, tell me, how much did you love this episode?
Well, I didn't. I didn't like this at all, really. The Carisi stuff pissed me off. Olivia pissed me off. Wallen was fine, I guess. Something we've seen 8 zillion times before. This did nothing for me. This is probably my least favorite of the season, I fear.
Yep. Those are all accurate statements. We'll get to my thoughts in a second. We have people live in our chat. Alexa's in the chat. Doreen is in our chat. You hate missing these live chats. You're still at work. Last day of school for 2024. Good news is we still have one more episode, which we will be doing on Monday.
Wait, are you a teacher? If you're watching this in class, that's the funniest thing ever.
I believe Doreen used to watch with kids around.
Educate your classroom if you are indeed a teacher watching this in class. This can be their
last
day of school movie day.
Absolutely not. Do not show us to children. We are marked on YouTube as not suitable for children and on podcast forums as explicit. We give you a content warning at the top of the show. This is not a podcast for children.
Unless you want it to be.
I take zero responsibility if you decide to show this podcast or let kids listen to it. That is not on me.
Let them get cultured and educated.
I am not child friendly.
True.
Which is why it's so funny that I was in those Barney videos. I couldn't believe they allowed me to do it. So excited to have people in our chat. Deanna is also here. Let me tell you my thoughts on this episode. The whole Carisi thing was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And where it ended is a whole other conversation we should have had. And the fact that we
also already had this conversation.
But I would be okay with us having it in a more in a modern progressive context, because we have had this conversation, but that was years ago, and people have evolved and our understanding of people have evolved. And I think that there is a conversation to be had, but we chose not to. And let's talk about that. We'll start with the Carisi stuff and then get to the main case. The fact that Benson's like, we're not vigilantes is important, except for that Carisi's like, but what would you do if it was Noah? And she's like, exactly what you're doing. No.
Both of their attitudes were so annoying in this entire episode. Why was Olivia such an asshole for no reason to everybody? Like, we didn't get a reason for it. If there was like something going on with her, sure. But she was so out of character, in my opinion. Like, she was snapping at everyone. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? This is not how you are.
It definitely, I feel like her behavior, just because of like the way she was reacting, as you're pointing out, was out of character. I almost like ignored most of the conversations between her and Carisi. Like my brain just shut them off.
It was so bad. I did not like it.
Hilariously, it was Tari who pointed out that Carisi's whole like whatever this bullshit is very reminiscent of Amaro stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, "Ooh, yeah, it is." I can't take credit for
I
noticing
was
that.
like, and I even gave them the benefit of the doubt because during the beginning they had kind of like a previously on. I was like, okay, they're bringing it back. That's like nice actually. So it's not just some random thing that happened. But the way they brought it back was so goddamn dumb that I wish they just wouldn't have at all.
I'm glad you point that out. My first notes are about the like previously on flashbackies, whatever, to give us the context. We have been asking for years that if you're going to introduce a new concept about something that happened in the past, stop just making stuff up because you have 26 seasons to pull from. And so the fact that they not only brought back something that felt like we were going to ignore episodes ago, brought that back. I did appreciate that. And then I appreciated that Wallen is from a season 24 Blood Out. So like very much appreciate that we are mining from our own show as opposed to something that we do all the time or we've seen writers do that pisses us off where they go, this is from that case that never existed when you could have pulled for something you have. So I want to acknowledge and appreciate, yes, thank you for bringing back something that happened.
I guess my thing for the not Carisi stuff, for the Wallen stuff, I like Wallen. I think that's a good actress. I think she's a fine character, but also it was just like so why why did we bring her back? Like for like this one thing I remember really vividly that they brought back was like the psychopath kid, like when
Oh,
he
yeah.
grew up. I was like, that's interesting because that was a really like standout case and they brought it back in such an interesting way. And this one was just like not interesting enough to like have a follow-up. Like I didn't even remember. And like I said, no hate to her, but like those episodes, like the Blood In, Blood Out, I hated those episodes. So that's probably why I don't remember it. But
I
it
think
felt so like generic that I'm like, why would we bring her back of all the people? Why not do a like crazy case that was like could it make a follow-up really like interesting and unique,
I agree with you. I think that the main case of this episode was very much a generic is I think the best way to put it. It very much was like a generic SVU case.
Yeah.
I believe, and this again, like I have no reason to believe this, but I believe this was to give us a Bruno like storyline, which is look, I love Bruno. Bruno's great. And I like that we're exploring not just his funny quips, that we are seeing his heart and his humanity. That's all wonderful. But you've given us Silva, who is a brand new character, and we know very little about her. Why not bring back somebody from an interesting older case and see how Silva deals with it? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and again, like I love Bruno. So the idea that I'm like, we didn't need this for Bruno feels sacrilegious. There's we'll get back to the Creasy stuff. And that all thing. I will say, during the main case, when we met Miguel's sister, and she's a seamstress or she works in an alteration place, I went, this better tie into the button. Because if this does not tie into the button, what the hell is this? So the fact that neither Curry nor Silva asked her when they first visited, hey, have you fixed any buttons for your brother recently? How was that not a thought? Like, what kind of shitty detective work?
Yeah.
But also this other part, I'm jumping around today, guys. When we went to Jade's apartment and Finn gives her his card, it's like, let me know if you ever want to, if you need to get away. I was like, that girl's dead. Jade is about to die.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like they're going to leave and he's going to beat her to death.
Yeah. Yeah. Choices were made, definitely.
I don't know that choices were made. I feel like no choice was made, and that's how we ended up with this episode. They went,
Yeah,
meh.
fair.
Honestly, I think the most interesting thing that happened in this episode was in the last, 15 minutes, where what was his name? Tim Tim confessed to his attraction to children. And then he was like, I want help. And Benson was like, okay, but we need time. And I'm like, the fact that you don't have something to offer him in this moment is shocking to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I appreciate that resources were found and shared with us, because I definitely felt like this episode was going to leave us with like, we'll find him help, and like not tell us in what form.
Yeah.
Which, as you said, we've had a previous episode that did deal with something very similar. We had cases where there was that teenage boy who came in and was like, I'm worried I'm going to do something. So I appreciate that we are discussing this issue, because I think that is an interesting topic to explore. But we did it in the last 15 minutes. We did it rushed, and we did it in a way that felt like SVU should absolutely be able to help and have more resources. And if they don't, that's a concern, right? Like this whole episode, especially with Carisi's, like, we're trying to prevent a crime, air quotes on that. All they can do is be reactive, which is, again, like maybe there's a reason people want to defund the police and fund other services instead.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I just hated it. I'm so sorry.
I know.
I was bored. I was annoyed. Very little redeeming qualities for this one for me.
Well, I'm going to give a bunch of shout outs now. Before I do actor shout outs, I want to chat shout out. Danny is here. Hi, Danny. Deanna joined us. Alexa, Doreen, who is at work. Alexa is also at work. We're at work. This is our work. We love having you guys here. People in the chat were talking about how Deanna says, sometimes I forget Noah exists, to be honest. And Alexa says, especially this season. That's true. I don't know. And I guess I'll say this. I don't have children, right? That is common knowledge. I do not have any offspring. Bless you.
Thanks. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And yet I still can believe that, we should protect children and be weary of adults who are attracted to children. Like I can agree to this without having a child. So I think that's, something that the show maybe forgets, that like not just parents are concerned about the safety of children.
Yeah, they really play the parent card a lot. And it's like, I think that everybody probably is not cozy with that idea. Like, okay.
Right.
It's like the same thing of like, well, I have sisters, I have a mom. Like, yeah, you still should give a shit if women are being raped, regardless of whether you have females in your life that you're close to. Like, come on.
Totally. Absolutely. There was a part where Benson says, Carisi said, I would never forgive myself if he harms a child. And then Benson brings that back to him and is like, you said, you would do whatever you could to protect the children. Now you don't even want to help this guy. And I think that, like, yeah, I think any human with compassion or a brain wants to protect children, right? Yeah. Like I may not like children, but that doesn't mean I want them hurt.
Right.
All right, let me give some actor shout outs. So Wallen was played by Sierra Monique, same actress who played her in season 24 Blood Out. Miguel was played by Miguel. So Miguel Rivera was played by Miguel Cervantes, who I believe is on a touring was or is part of a touring company for Hamilton, and he played Hamilton.
Oh, I love that.
Timothy Cottle, Tim, our creep, was played by Ari Brand, and I gotta say this, they made him look really creepy, right? Like you saw him and you went, that guy's a creep. And when I was looking up for actor shoutouts, he's a very surprisingly not a creepy, quite good looking man. So very impressive. I'm impressed. Tiana, the sister, was played by Stephanie Gamirez. Jade was played by Faith Marie Rodriguez. Oh, no, sorry. Yes, because there's another person who was played by someone named Jade. That's why I got confused. Yeah. The acting was good.
Yeah. The material they had to work with was a script. So, yep.
Honestly, I feel like what I would have preferred for the Carisi stuff would have been like the first half of it unnecessary, like him trying to get this guy fired for absolutely no reason. I think like the guy showing up and being like, you're harassing me at work, and therefore I got fired or whatever. And then like jumping to the resources and talking about sexual behavior modification, behavioral therapy, androgen blockers. Like, give me more of that. Tell me more about this. What is that like? What is that? Does it work? What does it look like? What is,
Yeah.
And then at the end of the episode with Wallen and the like reveal that she didn't want to go into the system because she has a kid and she was afraid the kid would get taken away. Okay. And then Bruno at the end is definitely going to pay for her scholarship, right? Like the scholarship, air quotes on that, is going to be Bruno paying for school.
But probably true.
Oh, he was like, I'm sure there's a scholarship. My brain went, so Bruno's just going to pay for her to go to school.
Yeah, that's probably, which I like, actually. I like that.
I like that too. I did like, I'll say this. I know that she was real wary of the cops, aside from like Bruno. I like that when Finn and him were like, come in and talk to us and like watch the video or whatever. I do like that we got to see Benson's compassion the way we got to see Benson, she Benson.
Yeah, because the other part, she was like, well, get her to trust you. I'm like, you know how this works, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you know that that's not that easy, and also like kind of a callous thing to say to all parties involved there. Like, I hated that. Do your job. Like, I think they're really trying, actually.
But like then when she came in, she Bensoned her, which was nice.
Yeah.
And that I want more of that. And I think that would have been more interesting, is like remind us that our squad is different and better. And, every time people talk about not all cops, well, yeah, all of them but fictional SVU. Like,
right.
Like, show me that.
Yeah, which honestly these days, don't even know if we can say that, because
right. I mean, literally Benson and Carisi going off vigilanteing.
Yeah.
Okay. This is, I think, the key moment that needed to be acknowledged, and I feel like was just glossed over, and I have a million questions. Dollar store ejaculator? What? It's like the footlicker, the playground footlicker. Dollar store ejaculator. If that doesn't come back, if I don't get an explanation as to what the hell that is.
Like, why are you guys planting stuff that's more interesting than what you're showing?
Also a good question.
Yeah.
Dollar store jacket? What?
Yeah.
What is that?
Exactly what it sounds like.
That and it's some questions. Are they ejaculating in a dollar store? Are they like we were describing Walmart Muncie? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I'm presuming that they did it in a dollar store.
Okay. Next question. Is it a 99-cent only or a Dollar Tree, or is it a non-franchise dollar store?
Well, it's SVU, so it's non-franchise for sure. There's a quick ride situation. You know, bargain barn or whatever.
Sure. But just out in the aisles on a product? Which product? Which aisle?
It's the questions we need answered.
You can't give me dollar store ejaculator and not explain that.
Agreed.
Thank you. For those who are joining us for the very first time on Law and Order SVU, that's the kind of shit you can expect from us here.
Period.
Deanna coming in. Ooh, yes. Imagine him and the Footlicker coming together for a finale episode. Yes, Deanna.
I need it really badly.
If the playground footlicker and the dollar store ejaculator and any other ridiculousness that they give us this season do not culminate in an Avengers,
I was literally gonna be like, this is my Avengers.
Legion of Doom villain story, then what is the point?
What's the point?
All right. On that note, best lines. I have a couple things.
You go.
Okay. I have Wallen saying, damn, you're really trying to play me with this nice cop, mean cop stuff. You think I don't see it? Because she's smart, and I appreciate that. And they were like trying to blame her if someone else got hurt, but whatever. The other one that I have is, you know what that sounds like? Half a Story from Silva. And that is a moment that I went, all right, Silva, you're winning me over. You are winning me over because you are hearing that sex workers should not be ignored and that there is a story here and that we should hear more about it. And so I appreciated that line because that is also true. I'm disappointed, though, that we didn't hear the other half of the story. But all right, go on.
My turn?
Yes, that's all I got.
Okay. Because I was like, I didn't start yet. Okay. All my man Sammy does is play League of Legends and drain my Zell account. It's all men do, one would presume. Said he gave her ick vibes. That is like so not okay, sure. And then finally, it's not against the law to look at other pedestrians, is it? And I was like, you kind of ate him up with that one. Like, I know it's still obviously not okay, but they all sound a little bit ridiculous, you know? And that really puts that into perspective.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, this episode didn't do it.
It didn't do it for me.
Alexa says there was an actual dollar store case and video on the net of a guy running away. Let's rip from that headline, people.
Yeah, for real.
What was he ejaculating on? Questions. So funny. Oh, he did it in a random woman in the store.
Ew, okay, that's not as funny.
Yeah, that's not fun. We can't play with that.
No.
That's awful. That's assault. Like spitting.
Yeah.
All right. Shower thoughts. For our friends who are listening in the shower, thank you for listening and enjoying our podcast. I hope you've been enjoying our 7 days of SVU as we've been catching up this season. I've enjoyed doing it. Just a reminder that we're going to do the next episode on Monday. I thought I would use our time in the shower thoughts to remind everybody that we are on iTunes and like iTunes reviews. There have not been any iTunes reviews since Alexa's sister, I believe, in March. I will say this. I was looking at the reviews today to see if there were any new ones that I need to bring up. And you know how I always tell you 5 stars if you like us, 4 stars if you don't? The stars are so broken that there are no 4 stars, but there are 1 stars and 2 stars.
Doesn't make any sense to me. I think they just hit it wrong. I think that they couldn't have meant to do that.
They definitely didn't.
I think it was
Also,
an
to be fair,
accident.
one of the 1-star reviews is from when we first started. And it is a complaint about our sound. And I believe we have fixed that problem.
Yeah, and also pay for studio space for us then, so we can have a professional
Yeah,
online house, babe.
that's also a good point, right? Like, we do this we are not charging you. We don't ask you to give us anything. We don't have a Patreon. We do this for funsies. So, also,
So bite me, actually.
I mean, I was going to say, if you watch it on YouTube, I assume sound is better because it's not directly in your ear holes. So maybe check us out on the YouTube and watch us.
Or bite me.
Or bite her. Wow, she is vicious today.
Yes.
Are you Bensoning?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, weird. Anyway, these are my shower thoughts for today. I like the iTunes reviews because they make me giggle. I know we do get some YouTube comments, and usually when the comments are about like the specific episode, and iTunes reviews are usually like funny about the show in itself. But like, we're on Spotify, and now I think you can comment on Spotify. That is a new thing that I've discovered in whatever. So I need to look and see if people have commented. And if they have, hopefully they're good comments. I will say this. We appreciate positive comments. I can't speak for Taylor. If you're going to be negative or insult us, make me laugh.
Yeah, I agree.
I love a clever insult. So if you're going to insult us, please do it in a way that makes me laugh. Otherwise, it should be positive, whatever you say.
Yeah.
All right. Those have been our shower thoughts. Also, Mara, if you are listening to our podcasts, please call me. I'm trying to reach you. Okay. It's time for What Did We Learn? Taylor.
Yeah, I learned something. I have a question about it. Okay. Bruno's phone rings at SVU.
Mm-hmm.
We then learned the card he gave her was his Bronx business card. How the hell was it the same number? Did he bring his phone over from the Bronx SVU?
Maybe it redirects.
SVU?
Or they called the Bronx. They were like, he's in Manhattan now. Let me transfer you. Or here's the new number.
It just felt very weird because that was like back to back that happened. And I was like, logically, how is that working? Because he no longer is there, and that's likely no longer his number. So the fact that happened like so close to each other was very bizarre to me. And that felt like a weird, unexplained thing. So I learned that made me upset.
That's fair. Alexa says department issue cell. It was his office phone that
it was like his office phone. So I was like, okay.
Interesting. What did I learn? Oh, I learned that my brain latches onto random ass, like, weird, like, question statements, whatever. So for example, the dollar store ejaculator. The other thing was, are champagne and applesauce the same color?
Oh, I did like that. Yeah, I would say that you could say they were roughly the same color.
I'm putting that out to everyone. Are champagne and applesauce the same color? Taylor says yes.
I would say they're close enough that you could call them, because what else would you say? Like, that's more accurate comparison than like light yellow, Like,
sure.
I feel like that was, I did like that. That's maybe the one detail I appreciate.
Deanna in the chat says just about. The other thing I latched onto is the motion activated cameras on the car. I was like, trail cam. No, the only car that I know of that has that is a Tesla. So they were like, oh, these electric cars. I was like, are you not allowed to say Tesla? Or did you mean that most like modern electric cars? Because I don't think that's the case. The only car that I know, anyway, these are what I've learned is that my brain latches onto random stupid facts or statements or throwaway lines.
Fair enough.
Alexa in the chat also says that applesauce and champagne are close enough.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
My notes are full of like huge exclamation or question marks for the motion activated car and the applesauce champagne. Weird. All right. That's what we learned. This episode's a bummer.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what else I learned? When you start Bible quoting to me, I just shut off. And doing it 3 times in one episode?
That's me with the Appalachian Trail last episode. I said, okay.
Did I just hear a dog barking?
Yep. Yep.
First there's a cat and now there's a dog?
Yeah.
And I'm seeing neither of them?
They can't come into this room. There's a turtle in here.
You're telling me there's a cat, a dog, and a turtle?
Yes.
And I get to see none of them?
Correct.
What did I learn? Taylor
hates a delicate ecosystem in this house.
It's like you hate me.
Well.
Also, it's like you're in a zoo.
Yes, that one. That one, absolutely.
What kind of dog?
Yorkie.
Well, I love tiny dogs.
I know, he's cute, but he's rambunctious.
This is incredibly painful for me right now. To know that there are to know that you are surrounded by cute small animals and I don't get to see them.
I am trying to work from home around these animals too, and I think that is a distinction that should be made.
Deanna in the chat says Taylor. Oh no, sorry, hold on. Taylor has a petting zoo.
Yeah, we bought a zoo. That movie's about me.
And then Alexis Taylor was totally me 10 years ago. Interesting. These are not your animals, though.
No, not a single one.
Right. That was the other thing. People, if Taylor had a Yorkie and or a cat, I would have not only met these animals, I would have photos with these animals.
Yeah. No, I'm visiting. And they're visiting. We're both visiting.
Where do they usually live?
Ohio.
Oh, that sucks.
Well, yes.
I'm so sorry to anyone listening in Ohio. Shit. Now we're assholes. Deanna says all you need.
I'm allowed to say that I'm from the Midwest.
I'm not allowed to say that.
That's true. But I'll give you a pass.
Thank you. Yeah. I have some friends from Ohio that are wonderful people. I know some Ohios, and they are wonderful folks.
There's good people there.
Yeah. All right. On that note, because really there's not much else to say in this episode, aside from Footlicker, Dollar Store Ejaculator, come together. Gross. Bless you.
We gotta go. Yes.
All right. On that note, we'll be back Monday for the last episode that we are missing from the season. Thank you for everyone who's joined us this week as we've gone day by day. Taylor, until Monday, where are you on the internet? I am physically at the zoo. I am online on Twitter at alphabet_ and on Instagram at Taylor_Gates_. Also doing a lot of things at collider.com. So check those out if you so desire. Awesome. I am on Instagram at Yael Tygiel. That's YAELTYGIEL. And I am reading romance novels on Good Little Library Mouse at Good Little Library Mouse or fanversation.com/books. We will see you Monday at some hour. Yep. Okay. Bye, everybody.